which is a matching grant with the government of Uganda contributing an initial of 100 billion Uganda shillings to be extended to the eligible businesses. Now, the SBRF is a resolving fund set up by the government of Uganda in partnership with commercial banks, the microfinance, depository taking institutions and credit institutions across the country to help out to be a recovery. It is just like, as you are hearing it, a recovery fund for these struggling businesses, more so the smaller enterprises, to get back to business with the fact that they were hardly hit by the pandemic, and hopefully this particular amount will be helpful to them. Nwalgembe John Kakungulu, the executive director of the Federation of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, did thank the government as well for enabling this to come to pass, and also ensuring the small enterprises, all the small best traders, to utilize these funds that come with a small interest. However, Herbert Bukenye of Siatini also noted that it is very important and vital for the government to help these traders in terms of helping them in training in regards to bookkeeping, saving, as it will help them utilize these funds with good intentions and effectively use them. All right, now let's move on to the other story, as the Uganda Parliamentary Forum on Social Protection has engaged journalists from the Uganda Parliamentary Press Association in a social protection training. This forum, led by Honorable Kawahinda Flavia, the women representative of the Chengwegwa district, say that social protection is everyone's business and encourage journalists to balance their reporting instead of reporting negative stories about the government. Babu Issa was in Parliament.
We are talking about the same animal.
Honorable Kawahinda Flavia, the chairperson of the Uganda Parliamentary Forum on Social Protection, while speaking to journalists at Parliament, said it's not good for journalists to report negative stories about the government. This is because all people have failed in as far as social protection is concerned.
So basically, social protection is everybody's business. And so I would like to implore the journalists to make sure that you don't only report about government failing. All of us have failed. We all have sinned and have fallen short of the glory of God in as far as social protection is concerned. Because in our families, if we cannot look after our older persons and instead blame government for failing to look after our grandfathers and our fathers, it's a shame that one parent can produce 8 children and look after them very well up to their adulthood, and then the 8 children cannot support their one parent. Is a shame. All of us should really now take it upon ourselves that it is our responsibility, right from family, from an individual, up to community and government.
She further said that when preparing for disasters at any point, there is a need to have data for everything, and this has to be reflected in the budget and finance very well. This data would help for better planning, but instead, the National Planning Authority does the things without data, which makes the same problems come again and again.
It requires data and planning, and that is why Patrick was saying in the budget we would like to see financing of the operationalization of the single registry, so that the data that is populated to the single registry is utilizable for the planning. We have a whole National Planning Authority which plans without data, because Simon will tell you that up to now, even when you talk about the older persons at 80 years old.
This is where Uganda Parliamentary Forum on Social Protection Coordinator Katabazi Patrick Chichoncho said that most of the challenges faced by the social protection in Uganda is policy. Some of the laws are not there, and strategies, for example, giving grants to children and giving more to elder people, or when the budget is there, is not enough.
In the budget process, and we have communicated our policy position regarding this. Most of the challenges that we have with social protection in Uganda, besides financing, is policy. Do you realize that you cannot simply go to Parliament and say, I want money for the child grant, if the policy framework has not yet developed to that level? So we have the National Social Protection Policy. Yes, the country lacks a National Social Protection Strategy. It is still in the draft form under the Ministry of General Labour and Social Development. So it is an area that we need to fast track to ensure that we have this strategy. And then, once we have the strategy, as a forum, we are mooting a law on social assistance, we have money that is coming to the older persons, right? But we don't have a law, for example, that regulates how resources for grants should be mobilized, how they should be spent. And that should also be very open-ended to make provisions for grants for children, for grants for older, for persons with disabilities, and any other that would be deemed as vulnerable when resources permit. So it's one of the things that we are looking at, and this budgeting particularly, process we shall be asking government to provide adequate financing for SAGE.
He further says it's better if the government finances the single registry. It should provide resources so that it works, because when they want to provide for elderly people, statistics are there.
You've already isolated the beneficiaries, and the payment system is already in place to ensure that within a week of the incident, people have been supported. So there are many things that we are looking out for in the next budget, but those are the key things that are prominent. I'm not saying that the social protection programs here we have are failing. We're simply saying the current programs are inadequate. You're targeting older persons. Yes, granted. You're targeting a section of people with disabilities, granted. But social protection is broad and throughout a life cycle.
And looking at this, Honorable Kabahindo Flavia, the chairperson of the Uganda Parliamentary Forum on Social Protection, said it's not good for journalists to report negative stories about the government, that this is because all people have failed in as far as social protection is concerned, because the more the journalists tend to report negative stories alone about the government, people relate differently about what the government has actually achieved as well. So she actually said that journalists should be conscious on the way they report their stories. They should actually report based on statistics and facts as a way of promoting the ethics of journalism. And if you look at that, let's look at the Social Protection Coordinator, Katabazi Patrick Chichoncho, who say that most of the challenges faced by social protection in Uganda is the issue of policy making. Some of the policy makers and the laws that are made are not strategic. For example, giving grants to children and giving more to elder people, or when the budget is there, sometimes it's not enough because the funds that are actually set out are not enough for the budget. He further says that it's better if the government finances a single registry which provides statistics, that in a way that whenever the funds are going to be allocated, they should look at the statistics, and also the resources can actually be provided because to the elderly people, to the children, based on the statistics, because the statistics will provide the right full numbers. That was during the training whereby the journalists were from the Uganda Parliamentary Press Association were actually being trained in social protection. All right, let's move on to the other story, as GoTV Uganda gives back to its community in Jinja. MultiChoice gave out 10 GoTV decoders to orphanages, gave out TV decoders rather, to 10 orphanages and schools in Jinja so that it helps in information dissemination across the district. More of this story. The Minister of State for Kampala, Honorable Chofatogambia Kabuye, while talking to the press, expressed his feeling when he said that the vulnerable people, like those of the orphans and schools, don't know what is taking place in the country, so this will help them know and learn some good things while using these GoTV decoders.
TV has got programs which are more developmental programs, and the government wants to partner with it to pass over these messages to its people. Now, when they get such information, they can also copy. For instance, you've been hearing about the Myoga initiative, presidential initiative. So many people don't know it, but we've been using a lot of media. In most cases, when you look at such people, they are outside the news kundram. They are outside the news centers. They don't know what is happening in the country. But at least with this initiative, it enables them, first of all, to receive the information, pick something, because you can't watch TV the whole day and you don't pick. Even if you watch these soaps, at least someone picks.
He further said that giving these communities such avenues of watching TV, it helps the government on the people it targets help, because these people are in an economic hardship.
Is an avenue and a conduit through which government passes information to its people. So that's why we are here. We are here to strengthen and to echo the position that indeed these are initiatives supported by government, and is mainly focusing on information flow or information extended to our people. That's why I came in to also to witness. Now the giving out of these decoders, we're assisting economically hard-hit people.
The Communications Office of GoTV, Mrs. John Samandakiza, said that in recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, it was a concern that helping these orphanages by giving them decoders and full subscription for a full year will revamp their ways of living. And according to her, what these schools and orphanages do to the children of the nation, there was a need to give back.
TV decoders with a year's subscription of GoTV to 10 orphanages here in Busoga Kingdom. We are in recovery of coming out of COVID-19, and we know that the work that these orphanages do is true, and it's work that it's work that needs to be done. And so we thought that as GoTV, we would like to give back to Busoga region in the best way we possibly can by giving them TV subscriptions, which TV subscriptions have entertainment, they have education, they have cartoons, and really what we are looking is to make the lives of the children in these orphanages simpler in whichever way possible we can.
She further says while waiting for the Ugandan economy to fully reopen in January 2021, education is much needed, and so GoTV provides this on its platform.
So in the programs that we have on GoTV, we have educational programs. Those programs sit on Pearl Magic, which is available all the way down to GoTV Lite. We also have entertainment programs and programs that these children can sit down and watch. But if I go back a little bit to education, we are in a situation where we are waiting for the Ugandan economy to hopefully open in January 2022. But in the meantime, what we are doing is we are providing education on our platforms. On Pearl Magic, the platform is called Learning Time, which Learning Time we have teachers that come on every day, and they go through different curriculums of different subjects. So we would really like to, in a way, educate these children for them to be able to sit in the orphanages that they are and be able to access the information that.
Giving back to communities is one of the advantages of being a big brand. And for anyone to actually identify themselves as a big brand in the segment of giving back to the communities, you need to do these, and these things need to keep you moving as well. Look at that. And continuously, as GoTV Uganda was giving back to the people in Jinja, the Honorable Minister of State for Kampala, Honorable Chofatogambi Kabuye, while talking to the press, expressed his feeling when he said that the vulnerable people, like those of the orphans and schools, don't know what is taking place in the country. So with the provision of the GoTV, will help them understand, get to access the relevant information down from the news and the current affairs that are out there in the country. He further said that giving these communities such avenues of watching TV helps the government and the people it targets to help, because these people are in economic hardship, and once they have somewhere to communicate, they can easily see whether the government is going to work on them or the government is in the process of working upon their issues. And also, Mrs. Joan Semanda, the communications officer of GoTV, said that in the recovery of the COVID-19 pandemic, it was a concern that helping these orphanages by giving them, because of a full subscription for a full year, as a way of giving back, and also giving an opportunity for the schools and the orphanages to get to access education with the Pearl Magic channel on GoTV. And kudos to GoTV for that, meanwhile. Okay, let's move on to the other story. As Minister Nankabira warns on electricity vandalism. The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development has rallied all concerned agencies in the energy sector with different government administrative and security structures to launch the biggest offensive ever on power theft and vandalism of transmission lines and distribution infrastructures. More of the details. The attack, which Minister Ruth Nankabira has called Olulumba Serurumba, meaning the mother of all attacks, is aimed to crush once and for all vandalism and power theft that costs the government hundreds of millions of dollars a year. The government has in the past 3 years intensified investment in the electricity generation, transition and distribution operation of the country. But despite these investments, the Ministry of Energy decries the rampant cases of vandalism of power supply infrastructure. Kabira has said that the recent outage of power experienced by the country was due to vandalism, where segments of the network have been destroyed out of malice, which interferes with the progress of the country.
The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development continues to grapple with the rampant cases of vandalism of power transmission lines and distribution infrastructure. The vandals are deliberately sabotaging the electricity access agenda that government embarked on to ensure electricity for all by 2030. And these vandals compromise the reliability, continuity, and stability of power supply that sometimes compromises national security. Recently, the nation has experienced power outages because of vandalism of the power infrastructure. And these have been cases where segments of the network are destroyed out of malice, including siphoning of transformer oils, causing transformers to burn, removing copper wires from the transformers, and sometimes carrying the entire transformer in one's pocket. So the public needs to be aware of this, and that we are experiencing an interference in our progress. The interference with electricity supply network has caused power blackouts, and it has threatened the security of our homes. It has increased the cost of doing business in Uganda, and it also has an effect on the tariff, on the cost of electricity. And this disrupts vital health and education services. You can imagine if you are in a theater, you have a patient being operated on, and power goes off. Some people end up dying. If you are in a chemistry lab, physics lab, biology lab, you are transacting a practical, and power goes off. So the effects of vandalism are diverse. The vandals may think that once they get money, it will be okay.
Nankabira adds that the interference with the electricity supply network threatens the security of people's homes, increase the cost of doing business in Uganda, and also it has an effect on the cost of power. The minister also observes that vandalism of power supply infrastructure has a relationship with the unregulated scrap business in the country, saying that there is need to work with Uganda Manufacturers Association to ensure regulation of the scrap subsector. He also attached such acts to terrorism, and they will treat those who vandalize electricity like terrorists.
Without shame, without fear. Buno butujju bwennyini obw'amasannyalaze. And I think we have to deal with them like we deal with terrorists. Because the tower can fall in a building.
The minister cited the cases of vandalism, which include the collapse of 5 towers in Balala in Mukono district on the 132 kV line that happened on the 20th September 2018, causing a power blackout that lasted for 3 hours. She adds that 29 towers were badly vandalized in Tororo district on the 132 kV Tororo Lira transmission line under construction, into 13 towers collapsing on the ground, which leads to delays on the delivery of government projects and increasing project costs.
Recently, a metallic tower fell on a wooden line, so you end up, in double jeopardy. The 400 kV Karuma Kawanda transmission line, the one I talked about in the morning, which has 639 towers, that brand new line is not saved. Karuma-Lira transmission line, which is under construction, have experienced heavy vandalism. On the Karuma-Kawanda line alone, 9.5 kilometers of aluminium conductors, or you call them wires, were cut and stolen, together with other tower parts and accessories estimated to be 100 metric tons, equivalent of about 7 towers. The people of northern Uganda, West Nile, are waiting for this power, but the road is being vandalized.
The minister called upon RDCs, who are the head of security committees in their respective districts and responsible for monitoring the government projects, to come up and fight this vice in order to realize the NRM manifesto on electricity distribution in all parishes. And the minister was also quick to identify these two examples of terror attacks. She said that this is theft, or you could actually also say it is terrorism, and they are yet to actually handle people engaging in the electricity vandalism as terrorists, because this attack puts the life of people at risk, those carrying out the vandalism as well as those who are even not part of the exercise at the end of it all. Just imagine in hospital whereby someone is actually going through operation or surgery, and then electricity goes off because someone is actually tampering with the electricity wires or the transformers in one way or the other. Also look at the situations whereby people are in science laboratories as well, and other related issues, all that actually are driven, other related sectors that are driven by electricity. So this is where most of the people actually cautioned to stay warned on the matters that affect people's lives. All right, let's move on to the last story in our news hour, as Air Tanzania resumes double daily flights to Kenya in renewed business relations. Tanzania's national carrier, Air Tanzania, has landed at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport in Nairobi after a 20-year-plus hiatus. The airline will now make daily flights to and from the capital, Nairobi. This is our only foreign story today. Let's have a look. The arrival of the ultra-modern Airbus A220-300 MAX, the start of the carrier's double daily Dar es Salaam to Nairobi route, in line with its network expansion plans in Africa. The return of this route has been prompted by improved bilateral relations, increased trade between the two countries, intergovernmental relations, tourism and extension of friendly ties. Commenting on the return of Air Tanzania flights to Kenya, Engineer Ladislaus Matindi, the managing director and CEO of Air Tanzania, stated that we are extremely delighted to resume the Nairobi route, which is one of the most significant destinations in East Africa and a key aviation hub as well. We at Air Tanzania are looking forward to bolstering the relations between Tanzania and Kenya, who have been trusted friends and sincere partners for decades, with this non-stop air service. Air Tanzania will fly the Airbus A220-300, a 132-seater with 12 business class seats and 120 economy class seats, that is renowned for unrivaled comfort levels for aircraft in its category. The airline will depart Dar es Salaam at 5:30 a.m. to arrive in Nairobi at 6:45 a.m. and depart Nairobi at 7:45 a.m. to arrive in Dar es Salaam at 9 a.m. Tickets will cost 37,525 Kenyan shillings, which is $334 for a round trip, and roughly 23,594 Kenyan shillings, which is $210 for one-way travel on the Dar es Salaam-Nairobi route. Evening flights will depart Julius Nyerere International Airport at 8 p.m. and arrive in Nairobi at 9:15 p.m. and the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport 10:15 p.m. to arrive in Tanzania at 11:30 p.m. Other than Nairobi, Air Tanzania has announced 3 new regional routes in November. These include Dar es Salaam to Bujumbura, Ndola, Zambia, and Lubumbashi, the Democratic Republic of Congo, as the country seeks to expand passenger services to new markets in Africa, Asia and Europe as international borders reopen and travel restrictions ease. Mumbai of India, Hahaya of Comoros, Lusaka of Zambia, Harare of Zimbabwe, Entebbe of Uganda and Guangzhou of China are among the other destinations staffed by Air Tanzania. The line will add Johannesburg, South Africa, Lagos of Nigeria, Accra of Ghana and London of the United Kingdom to its destinations in the coming month. The arrival of the ultra-modern A220-300 Max at the start of the carry is double daily Dar es Salaam to Nairobi route in line with its network expansion plans in Africa. The return of this route has been prompted by improved bilateral relations, increased trade between the two countries, intergovernment relations, tourism and extension of the friendly ties. Let's look at this now. Other than Nairobi, Air Tanzania has announced 3 new regional routes in November. These include Dar es Salaam to Bujumbura. Bujumbura is the capital to Burundi. Then Ndola is the airport in Zambia. And Lubumbashi in the Democratic Republic of Congo, as the country seeks to expand passenger services to new markets in Africa, Asia and Europe, as well as international borders reopen and travel restrictions ease. Let's look at the other airports and other countries that have actually been identified. There is Mumbai, that is India. Hahaya in Comoros. There is Lusaka in Zambia. Lusaka is Zambia's capital. Harare, Zimbabwe's capital. Look at Entebbe, the international airport in Uganda, as well as Guangzhou in China, are among the other destinations that are so far being served by Air Tanzania, as it has actually launched other routes to Kenya, Nairobi as well. Okay, that's it from the News Hour. When I do return, we're heading to our topical analysis. I'll be right back.